Hello. Can you introduce yourself and tell me about a favorite vacation?
Hello, my name is Laura Waterhouse, and I'm going to tell you about my vacation in Washington, D.C.
That's an interesting place to visit. Tell me about your trip.
So 2 years ago, my brother, my mom, and we flew to Washington, D.C. to visit my aunt, my uncle, and my two cousins. And when we arrived there, it was really warm compared to the West Coast, but it was sometimes warm, sometimes cold. But then one night in Washington, D.C., it snowed, and I was surprised. That was the first time I've seen snow on the East Coast. We went to visit before something happened. We went to go visit Gallaudet, and I thought it'd be a nice place to visit, see if maybe I'd want to go there someday.
How did you pick that place to go on vacation?
Well, the reason we went to Washington, D.C. is because my mom had a conference there, and she needed, and took me and my brother to go there as well, to go see Washington, D.C. And luckily, the conference was in a really fancy hotel that my brother and I stayed and watched TV in for 2 days. We're lucky, it was nice.
What did you see while you were in Washington, D.C.?
After that, we went and visited a famous museum called the Smithsonian. It kind of focuses on space. It was really interesting. But something strange happened to me. I started to kind of feel dizzy. So we left the museum and decided to go back. And when we went back there, it just kept getting worse and worse. So we went to go see a doctor. And the doctor checked me out and said, "Yeah, no, you're fine. If it continues to get worse, come back again." So I didn't really sleep that night. I was tossing and turning, just feeling itchy and all over my body. So the next day we went back to the doctor and he looked and said that I have shingles, or I need to eat a lot of sweets and sugars.
So, did that make you feel better?
So we got a lot of sweet foods, and I ate a lot, but it made it worse. It didn't work. So that evening, it just continued to get worse. My mom and my aunt decided to take me to the hospital. So when we left the house, I was really dizzy. I couldn't really see anything. I wasn't looking for cars. And I walked out, and a car zoomed right past me. It was about 1 inch from my face, almost hit me. My mom was screaming, but I couldn't hear. Of course, I'm deaf. So anyway, we go to the hospital, and when we arrived at the hospital, I opened the door and I just threw up. So we walked further into the hospital, and he said, "Yeah, it's worse. It's getting worse." And he told me to stay home. So we went to the hotel for 2 days, stayed there for 2 days, and all day me and my brother watched TV. And my mom slept.
That's too bad that you were sick on your vacation.
Really, the worst part was we'd been calling the White House to have them set us up with an interpreter for the tour over and over again, and they kept denying us. And finally, they said, "Okay." And that happened to be the day that I was sick and I couldn't go.
Did you get to do anything fun while you were there?
We went went to DC. My mom and her friend Ruth. Um, she has two kids, and one's my age, and one's younger, like my brother. And we kind of grew up together. She was my friend. She's the same age as me. And I saw her. I haven't seen her in a long time, and we played and hung out, and that was fun.
Did you see any other museums or do much sightseeing while you were there?
Well, we went and visited different museums. We saw one museum that focused on the Holocaust, and it was really sad. It talked about one girl, and she lived through the concentration camps and how she survived through the Holocaust. And after that, we went and visited the Washington, D.C. monument, but it was really windy that day. So we couldn't enter the building because it was too windy. I wanted to, but we couldn't go in. Then we went to another museum, which was the Abraham Lincoln Monument, the statue, and the statue has a name sign A&L. It was really interesting to see that because I've never seen that before.
After your bad experience being sick, do you think you'd like to go back to Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, well, I was lucky because last July I had an opportunity to go back to Washington, D.C. for my Gallaudet basketball camp. So it was kind of nice to see what Washington was really like because I didn't see it before since I was sick.
Did you see anything different the second time you were there?
Yeah, I got to see a lot of Gallaudet's campus. I got to see what the deaf kids were like there on the East Coast, on the east side of the country.
Tell me more about your experience at Gallaudet.
I met some other kids from Virginia and Maryland, New York. I had an opportunity to stay in Gallaudet for 1 week in the dorms. So in the future, when I go to Gallaudet, I got to kind of see what those dorms that I'd be staying in.
Tell me about the camp you went to.
So I went for basketball, and it was really fun. Learned some new basketball skills. I met a professional basketball player, and she helped tutor us.
Cool. Was she deaf?
Yep, she was deaf.
Did you win any games or get any trophies?
Yeah, I won a prize.
Do you think you'd like to go back again someday?
Yeah, I want to go back again someday. Maybe for other reasons.
Thanks for spending time with me today.